welcome to another episode of Sports Scandal. Same crew this time, Samson, Kimani, and my co-host,
Josh Bailey.
Yes, sir. And we're here to talk about, of course, like the title says, another sports scandal. This one's a little bit further back in time, whole different sport. There's some baseball stuff. So I definitely had heard some stuff about this scandal beforehand. I knew that it was well documented. A whole bunch of people have opinions about it. So I was like, why not tackle one of the most famous ones? And that would be the Black Sox scandal. Sometimes some people consider it, the baseball's first sin, original sin. We're going to run through the timeline, go through some myths about it, and then have some what happened to the players, some punishments that were handed down, and our own personal opinions. So a whole lot of fun stuff. So starting off, Josh, have you heard much about this scandal beforehand? Seen anything about it?
Definitely. I've heard a lot more about this one than I did for the Russian doping scandal. That's a definite. I didn't know exactly. I like if you told me just randomly Black Sox scandal, I wouldn't know what you're talking about. But if you talked about what the scandal was, I would have been like, oh, okay, I get it, because I've heard a lot about it. Not only because of just it being a scandal, but because of sports betting in general. This stuff I've heard of this getting brought up when it comes to betting on sports and stuff like that. So yeah, I have a little bit of knowledge on it, but not a lot.
Okay. Yeah, same. I didn't have too much knowledge. I kind of knew that it was like one team throwing some games against another team. And when we refer to throwing a game, it means that they're intentionally losing for monetary gain, which we were about to see. So to set the stage for this story, the Chicago White Sox had made it to the World Series, and they were heavily favored to win. So some players, and we'll get into the specifics, but just to give a general overview, some players decided to throw games, intentionally lose, so that while at the same time betting on those games, on their betting against themselves, and in that way they would be earning money because they were the ones who were favored to win. So obviously, if you bet on the other team and you're right, you gain money. That's just how general sports betting works. So, and there were some players who felt bad about it, some players who didn't go along with it. So, it was very convoluted, and but definitely one of baseball's big scandals. They did have later scandals with PEDs and stuff like that, but this is, some people consider the first issue or the first sin. So just hopping right into it. Looks like, so it started out in, I think that's October 18th. The first baseman meets with a gambler, and they pretty much come up with a plan that the World Series can be bought. Now, mind you, these details may not be 100% true because, it's behind closed doors stuff. So, he said, she said kind of stuff. So we're just going off of what so far people consider mostly as the facts. Then the next day, the shortstop, infielder, and the pitcher all joined the first baseman in the plot to throw the World Series. So Swede Riesberg, Fred McCullen, and Eddie Cicotte. How would you say that? Eddie Cicotte?
I can't even really see it from here.
I'm pretty sure someone out there knows how to say it.
Cicotte? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce that one, actually.
But and then the third baseman, pitcher, and the center fielder all joined these four guys. So we're talking about 7 players. And some claim that, Joe Jackson was in there, the left fielder, but then some aren't. And again, Cicotte, the next day, so this is happening pretty quickly because the World Series is coming up. It's not like they had months to plan this out. So they're like bang, 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 day after day after day because they definitely want to get, figure out how to make this money. So Cicotte runs into a retired baseballer. Is that a real word?
Baseballer? I don't know. I've never heard of that one.
It should be one. Footballer. You're a footballer.
I've never heard of that one either. I don't think that one's real either.
Okay, well, we're making it a thing.
Yes, that's a thing now, everybody.
Cicotte ran into Sleepy Bill Burns, a retired baseball player who was a gambler. And, he's trying to get some advice to figure out how to do this fix. And they're trying to gather this money because because they're highly favored to win this, heavily favored to win this, they want to have a lot of money to earn a lot of money. If you get what I'm saying, like you want to bring as much money together because, they can't do this too many times in a row. So, you kind of want to put all your eggs in one basket, even though, usually you want the opposite. But in this case, you would want all of them together. So Burns, the retired player, and the ex-fighter, they go to an infamous gambler of the time and his associate to supply the money. And apparently he was turned down. So, but a lie apparently was that they claimed that infamous gambler did change his mind and put up 100,000 K. Now, mind you, this is 1919. So we have our own calculator to figure out how much that is because apparently the inflation of money since then has been $1,431,000. So just to put it in perspective of 100,000 K, that's $1.5 million that they're putting up to bet on a World Series. Like, holy mackerel!
Where have we seen that since then?
It's crazy. I mean? It's crazy. I mean, it's just a lot of money. And apparently, Sullivan, the one of the players, talked to the gambler, talked to the infamous gambler Rothstein separately, and he respected Sullivan more. So he sends someone out to find out if the players, if it's nonsense or if they're actually in on this, because obviously you don't want to give up $1 million, on a lost pursuit of players you never met.
Yeah, let's talk about gambling your life away right there.
Exactly. So it looks like he had 40K sent to the players. Then Sullivan gave his own 10K, and then they put another 40K in the hotel to be paid out after the series. And that's not per person, that's in total. That's still a lot of money. So just to put it in perspective, how much money all in that one day. So that'd be about 90K. So that's about $1.4 million.
Yeah.
Which is still crazy.
It is.
I mean, that's to split that among 7-8 guys. I mean, you're still set. I mean, what do you think of the story so far? I mean, Josh, you have like the infamous gambler and people like that. If you're Rothstein, would you go in on this? Like, say you're a bad guy. We're not calling out Rothstein, but he knew what he was doing was illegal. So, would you go in on this?
I probably wouldn't because right. With it being illegal, I don't think I would want to take the risk of first of all getting caught, and what if I lose?
But they're definitely gonna lose though. That's the plan.
Well, I mean, lose the bet.
Yeah.
Betting against your own team and trying to stage this whole thing. I don't think I would want to do that because to me that's not right. To me, when it comes to playing sports, it needs to be true. You don't want to pay players to, lose a game. I mean, yeah, they're getting money still, no matter what, whether they win or lose when it comes to this. But the thing about it is, why, the point of sports is to try to play and win.
Yeah.
Right? So the fact that the players were even okay, I'm sure they were probably bribed and handed the money.
Yeah. And their morality is already compromised. So
exactly.
We're not talking about if you're, an upstanding person like right now. We're just saying if you're in their shoes, you're already, a shady guy, and you have this opportunity to make a whole lot of money. I mean, the players each were going to get almost 200K in current day dollars. So, like, you're pretty set. Like, so
that's pretty set. But the thing about it is, I feel like athletics should be trying to win.
I mean, that's true.
And doing your best to try and win. And if you lose, you did your best. You know what I mean? But intentionally losing.
Exactly.
That doesn't even seem like it's the game of baseball anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It seems like it's a literal, like, a scheme, a crime. And it's not true baseball in my mind.
So, just to put it in perspective about how much money they were making back then, because the White Sox did have the highest salary, I can't remember, highest salary cap, like they had the most money given out. But to put it in perspective about how much money, like compared to what they had back then, so they were getting paid about 800,000 per year in their money, in their present day money. So if they had give me 1 second here, just doing a little bit of math, but it would be a lot of money for them to suddenly get, for each player, because I mean it would be about 16,000 times more than what they would normally get per person. I mean, so they're getting set for life in this deal. And it's sports where your body, it wears out. And, one day you could get an ACL tear, something could happen. Now, am I advocating for cheating? No, but I understand where these players are coming from. If the baseball was just a job and you're there to make money and you have a way to be set for life, in a job where your job isn't guaranteed, it's nowhere near nowadays where you get millions and you're empowered as a player and you can pick stuff. It was back then, they could probably pick guys off the street. Like, I'm not trying to diss them, but it's definitely not near the level of quality that they have nowadays. So I understand where the players are coming from. Do I agree that it was the right thing? Obviously not, but I do get their logic in thinking that, cheat on a, World Series. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of other people would be losing money. But moving into the game, so they start planning this about, half a month before the games start. So that's why everything had to move really quick, because they just came up with this just before it started. So it starts November 1st. And Cincinnati wins the first game. That's their rivals, and that's who the Chicago White Sox are playing in the World Series. And their manager and owner start getting rumors that something's up, something's fixed. They play the next day, and Cincinnati wins again, 4-2. And Chicago wins the next game, 3-0. But it's still weird that Cincinnati is able to win so much. Then they do have the first payout to the first baseman of $20K, and Cincinnati wins the next game. So it looks like it's a 7-game series. So at this point, Cincinnati has won 3 of the. They won the first game, second game, third game. Actually, yeah, it looks like it's actually a 9-game series, because. Rules were different back then. They weren't too much worried about the players and stuff like that. But it looks like they're mostly going to plan. It looks like they're mostly doing it. And Josh, if you were on the team and you got a whiff of, your teammates trying to throw the game for some money, would you be one of the players to stand up? Like, would you like go all out and they're like, why is he actually trying, or something like that?
Yeah, I feel like I would still go out there and, work hard at it. I mean, yeah, I don't play baseball. I don't play any sports for that matter. But if I were in the shoes of the athletes, I would still go out there and give it my all and try to win. Even if I knew that the team was going to intentionally lose, baseball, I'm getting paid. If I was an athlete, I'm getting paid to play baseball. I'm not getting paid to lose. Yeah, sometimes you do lose a baseball game, but I'm not going to get paid to intentionally lose just so that the boss makes money. I'd rather win, make my own money the right way, and then, of course, the boss makes money from the salary and the profits of the team. Mm-hmm. So I would still go out there and put it all on the line, as if it's the World Series.
Exactly. This is the final game.
It's the big game. It's the Super Bowl of baseball. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't want to lose that intentionally. Yeah, if we lose it, naturally.
Yeah.
With against the other team, they were just better, we didn't do something right, then I would probably be upset that we lost the World Series, but at least I would know I put it all on the line, and I would want that same feeling. I would still go out there and put it all on the line, even though I knew for a fact that there was going to be an intentional loss.
Yeah. So after we got IT on it, and it looks like they did have 9-game series back then, so that's why they're playing more games than they would nowadays. So Cincinnati won the first and second game, then Chicago won the third game, then Cincinnati won the fourth and the fifth, and then Chicago won the sixth. And then Chicago actually wins the seventh. So it's 4-3 series right now. And the bettors are starting to get nervous because the White Sox are winning a couple more games than they should. Stuff is like, it's a little bit close. If they win one more game, then they leave it. Then they have a final 9th game. And so it's like, what's going on here? And so actually, Williams, one of the players on the team, he gets threatened, and he's one of the pitchers. And actually, his wife is threatened by physical harm. So, like, Rothstein, the shady dealer, is like, hey, do your jobs by not doing your jobs, or something's going to happen. So, that's what happens when you go with shady guys and you start borrowing money. Like, stuff is going to happen. You can't mess around with the mafia and all that. So, and they were saying that if he makes it past the first inning, like if he doesn't throw the game, then there's gonna be some harm coming to his family. So that first inning of that 8th game, mind you, Cincinnati just needs to win one more to win it. The White Sox would have to win 2. Williams gives up 4 consecutive hits and 3 runs, so they're down 3-0, and he gets benched from the game. Cincinnati blows them out 10-5 and takes the win. So mission accomplished, right? They get the money and stuff. And, but, the next day, Hugh Fullerton, he writes that the owner decided that 7 players would not return that year. And the owner is kind of salty. He wants to know about it. Apparently, the standard amount of money for everything was $20K, because this is like the 6th time it's showing up. But yeah, no, he's kind of mad that they lost because they should have won, and they got blown out in like 2 or 3 of these games. They got beaten, I think, in like 3 of these games, they got beaten by 5 or more. And it's like, what the heck? So how much would you pay to find out if your team threw a game? Because that seems kind of bogus.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, would you care, or would you just say, see you later, players, or something like that?
If I knew, like, if I was the owner of the team or whatnot, and I was trying to determine if this loss was intentional, I feel like I would be doing a lot of interrogation on players, on staff, figuring out why. Why did this happen? Why did you do this?
And it was obvious that they were throwing the game, like.
They just weren't trying.
They weren't trying. It was, you watch the tape, like,
they
there's
missed
some
4
tape,
consecutive.
it's very obvious.
Yeah, they missed 4 consecutive hits.
Yeah.
Now if they did that every game,
yeah,
even like
they wouldn't be in the World Series if they
exactly. So it's not normal behavior. That they it's not like they normally mess up like that. And especially if they made it all the way to the World Series, why would you act so stupidly in the big game like this? So I would instantly be interrogating, trying to figure out what happened, why do you do it, and then I'd be cutting some people.
All right, heads are rolling, huh?
Yeah.
He said those 7 players aren't returning. All right. Yeah, it looks like, so mind you, reminder again, that would be over $300K is what the owner was offering to find out what was going on. So the people are doing some research, and 2 months later, the New York World, a newspaper at that time, published an article by the guy who kind of knew that, something was up, Hugh Fullerton, suggesting that the World Series was fixed. So, it's starting to hit the fan now. And people they starting to stir up there were a lot of articles and stuff going on, and it wasn't until next year, almost a whole year, in that very same September, where they finally got in front of a grand jury, and they finally decided to investigate. And it wasn't they were wanting to investigate a whole separate game. It wasn't, neither of the teams were involved. It was the Chicago Cubs and the Philadelphia Phillies. So it was a whole different game that they were investigating. And it seems like during that time, after they started, the attention eventually went to that World Series because some pitcher testified that he knew the games were fixed, and he started naming names. He named the guys some were involved. And once someone mentioned it, all the details broke loose. So it came out 3 days later, and the day after it released on a newspaper, after it was released on a newspaper article, the next day, Eddie Cicotte confessed to it. 8 players were indicted. The owner notified that the players were suspended immediately. And at this point, the White Sox were good. Like, they were about to return back to the World Series. Mind you, I mean, we're the playoffs. I mean, they had just made the World Series beforehand and probably were going to win it. So it's almost like the favorites to win from last year, who were supposed to be the champions, it's not that crazy to think that they were going to return to the playoffs. And the owner didn't care. He didn't care. Like,
just
he's
flat
like,
out,
you're out.
No,
you're out.
You're done. Cut.
And I understand that. Like, he said, you guys are gone. I don't care. You guys screwed me over in the World Series. So, do you agree with the owner on that one? Because I definitely do.
Yeah. Like I said, I would cut people if I figured out that they did this intentionally. So yeah, you're gone. If you do this on purpose, you are you lost the game intentionally, and you made a lot of money, but you are putting a very bad image on the team and
the whole sport.
Yeah, you're making an embarrassment of the fans, the team, and the sport of baseball and as a whole. And so I would definitely be cutting people and I definitely agree on that.
Yeah, no, it was horrible. So guys were confessing left and right. The infamous gambler, of course, got away because he was able to blame it on someone else, and he confessed, and he got off on, he didn't have to do anything. So actually at this point, Major League Baseball didn't have a commissioner, so they finally appointed a commissioner. Keenshaw Mountain Landis. It sounds like someone I don't want to mess with. And they started to go to court because this is, it was something illegal that they had done. And the judge put Keenshaw put him on the ineligible list. Later that next month, they got the jurors. So this is like 2 years later. And the prosecution gave its remarks. They went through those confessions, and the state wanted 5 years in jail and $200K fine for each person involved. And the jury stated that it was not guilty. So, still, despite the acquittal, which shocked everyone, I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, I would be shocked if it got acquitted too.
Exactly, that was crazy. The commissioner announced that they were banned for life from baseball, so they never played again. And then, I mean, we have some, they eventually all died. I mean, they died in their own places. It looks like, one guy became a dairy farmer, someone became a plumber, a game warden, a bartender, all over the United States, like Wisconsin, Michigan, California. Someone became a gardener and a nursery owner, drugstore owner. Rothstein was actually the first one to die. The one who was exonerated from a gunshot in the abdomen, which, I mean, if you're into shady stuff, it's not a real shocker. The owner died in his Wisconsin home, and, but it was interesting that most of the guys, I mean, they went to, just everyday jobs. They never came to the limelight again. I mean, someone was a liquor store owner. So, And it looks like they didn't even get that much money, but
yeah,
we'll go into the details of the punishment. But
yeah, the question about that is, it's nice that they were able to move on from baseball when they got when they were not allowed to play anymore. Which honestly, if they hadn't done this, of course, they would have played baseball longer, of course. But at the same time, it seems like obviously we don't know how successful these players ended up being at their other jobs.
Exactly.
But it sounds, with the variety of occupations that they got themselves into, it sounds like they ended up, probably learning from that mistake.
And they had to learn the hard way too.
They did. They got the consequences of their actions, and they really probably tried to turn their lives around with these new jobs.
So some things to clarify, some myths. It was the players who thought of the fix. I mean, they were going with the gamblers. The White Sox, I mean, they weren't paid that much, but they were paid the most out of anyone in that league. So, I mean, compared to everyone else, they were doing really well. But, considering the wide, compared to now, it definitely makes sense. And then, it wasn't the first time someone had cheated in baseball. It was just the first time the public knew about it and it was huge and stuff like that. So the main reasons why they went to court was the conspiracy to defraud. And it looks like they weren't those who weren't implicated in the scandal and those who didn't go along with them were actually given a bonus. They were given $1,500 from the owner. And it was the difference between the winners and losers check for their participation in the World Series. So the owner is going in like, we should have won this. We definitely should have won this. And I actually respect to him for giving each player the amount to almost $20K. And nowadays, like, he's like, you guys should have won this. And, I definitely don't see too many owners doing that nowadays. But it looks like the owner was actually a pretty great guy. What are you thinking? You thinking the hero of the story is the owner? That's my MVP.
Yeah, I think so. I think you've got some good valid points there to kind of prove that maybe, MVP definitely.
Yeah, I mean, just to make sure to clarify, it was the difference between those who won the World Series and those who lost. So considering they should have won, that's how much they would have gotten anyway. So the reason why they were acquitted are unknowable. I mean, the deliberation of the court case was done in private, and the jurors didn't have to explain why they gave that verdict. So we'll never know. I mean, do you have maybe some theories about why they would acquit him? I mean, it was pretty obvious that
unless maybe
it happened. They confessed to it. They literally confessed to it.
I don't know. So, did he pay the courts?
Maybe.
Did he bribe the courts too?
Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, apparently they were acquitted. So it looks like the players, in the end, besides one of the players who backed out in the end, they received at least $5K in total, which is about $74,000 nowadays or more, with the main player who is the go-between between the players and the gamblers receiving $35,000 or $516,000. So, I mean, it looks like they did eventually got paid out. It's just, it looks like either they didn't well manage it or they didn't use it that much. I mean, it looked like, one was a nursery owner.
Yeah, and by the sounds of it, it's not like that money. It's not like they took that money and quit everything.
Exactly.
They continued to work for money.
Exactly.
I don't know. Maybe they didn't think that was enough. But I think that ought to be enough.
Yeah.
To get by and more and then some. But it's props to them though for at least going out and trying something else instead of just shutting down completely.
Yeah. No. Many of them got other jobs. I feel bad for that owner. Hopefully, it was. They were in the World Series. I mean, this is why you pay your team to get to the World Series. So, but yeah, I do think it was bogus by the whole team to try to throw the game and stuff like that. And the owner was a founding owner, so he was a big part of the history of the whole team because he was the one who helped build it. He was the one who was helping build the American League. And he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, so good for him. It looks like he used to play himself. So let me see here. So he did before this event. He was able to win the World Series as a manager, or as an owner actually. So, and he helped build the stadium and stuff like that. So, I mean, the players, they didn't like him because, I mean, they considered him stingy, frugal, making the players wash their own clothes and stuff. But they were paid the most out of everyone, and when it really counted, he wasn't stingy. He paid the guys what they deserved. And I mean, good for him. I'm happy that he did at least get some World Series wins. He got 2 of them before this happened. So it's not like he never won anything. It was just, due to this scandal. But I mean, I think he gets a worse rap than people give him credit for. I mean, I've worked with owners who can be stingy, but I mean, this one didn't seem like it when it mattered. So
yeah, it seems like he really went for the risk is worth the reward kind of thing here, and especially in the eyes of the players. Considering the players got the most money out of everybody.
Exactly.
So a lot of people were probably thinking, well, if I do this, I am going to get. So maybe the risk was worth the reward, but unfortunately, that cost a lot of people their career.
Yeah. So making sure we get his name. It's Charles Albert Kaminsky, something along those lines. But yeah, no, this was a pretty interesting scandal. I mean, I guess it's always weird with those scandals that, there's a little, mystery, like why were they acquitted? So I don't know. It's maybe they went through enough. Who knows? I mean, from the point of the jury, I'd obviously vote guilty because they confessed to it. I don't see really the point of not guilty. And it's not like they were going to jail for like 20 years. It was 5 years, which, considering what they were doing, I mean, I consider that a decent enough punishment. And they were getting paid anyway from that, so they can pay off the fine. So, yeah, no. I think
there's plenty of money.
Reasonable. Yeah.
Plenty of money to pay those bails and stuff off, too.
Yeah, so I think it was bogus. I don't think it ended the right way, but, who knows? Do you think it ended right? Or
I think it ended kind of on a cliffhanger.
All right.
Like, we could have seen what kind of happened afterwards. Very interesting, like you said, very interesting to talk about. And, definitely something that I feel like probably changed the history of not only baseball, but sports betting in general. Especially now a lot of states are legalizing sports betting. And so I'm sure this is a good landmark of kind of what not to do or how not to do things.
Yeah, why it was illegal in the first place.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because, it was, I mean, and then there was also some NBA or recently, like early 2000s with Tim Donahue. He also was involved with rigging some games. So, I mean, rigging games isn't necessarily foreign, but I mean, this was huge. I mean, this is not an everyday thing. And, but they never played the sport they loved, or at least were training for the whole life. So they had some form of punishment. I mean, I think it should have been worse, but yeah, that should be about it. Thanks for sticking with us. This is most likely Josh and I's last podcast as we are moving on to greener pastures. So thank you for taking this journey with us. And check out our other videos and podcasts on KSP. KSP First on YouTube. We're hoping to upload some to Spotify, so they'll hopefully be up there, so you can always go back and listen to them. And yeah, thanks for being here for along for the ride.